All right, I'm gonna start off by having you introduce yourself and happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so I am Octavia. I am an independent author. I have been writing professionally since 2016 when I was published under a what I call a social media publisher. Um, and after leaving him after 2 years, I started doing things on my own and on my own since October or November of 2018. And on my own, I've penned 30 books. I've have some of those books. All of them are in paperback, but I have had some of them converted to audio. I've been, featured in a few magazines. I've done Essence. I'm going to A and BC, I think next week, because one of my books was nominated for 2 awards. So that's me.
Are we talking about work, husband?
Dear Vicky.
We talking about my boy Andrew. That book, both of those two are the two books I've read by you. And I say I recommend those books to everyone. I just want somebody that wants me as bad as Andrew does, but that's not as crazy. That's all I want. Like,
I do not want that because sometimes when we say we want things, we end up getting them, and I don't want it.
let me get a healthy Andrew. That's all I want. Like someone that stands on business in a healthy way. Oh my gosh. But yes, I'm so excited for you. When I saw you were doing the Essence Festival, I was like, this is super exciting. And I don't know, I had a moment where I felt like I was just cheering for you and we hadn't even spoken yet. But
No.
I was so excited. So you have your 30 books. As an author, I know you have a work in progress. Do you have a book you're working on right now, or are we taking a break?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I do not take breaks. I'm sorry. I've only ever taken one break, and that was after I wrote my book, Unhealthy Love. Come here. And that book was just so hard to write that I had to kind of take a
Okay.
break from it. But I just had a new release with Kaylin Hunt, and even with that, I was still working on other projects. So right now, I have another book that I'm working on, and then I have an anthology that I'm a part of that's coming out in November, I believe. So there's always something going on. It's never a moment where I'm not writing.
Absolutely. Hi, baby, Octavia. That is
All he
so.
wanted some attention, but he can't hear you because I got my ear pod in.
Oh, well, you have to give him a shout out on his own for me. That is so exciting, though. So you got started writing. What made you be like, I feel like so many authors start off as a reader first. What made you say, all right, it's my turn. I have to get started?
Actually, I feel like I started out like that too. So I've said it so many times. I started writing at 16, and back then it was just a high school project. It wasn't anything that I had ever done before, but the recognition that I received from it, it was like, wait, I'm really good at this because I had never written anything before. And then when I moved from my hometown, I moved here to Florida. I was working for Bank of America, and I was listening to an audiobook by Lynette King. And I'm like, at the end of the book, it said, if you would like to join this family, submit your first 3 pages of your manuscript. And because when I moved here, I didn't know anybody, I would write just to pass the time because I'm in a new place. I don't know anyone. I don't know where to go. I didn't have a job when I first moved here.
Mhm.
And I just moved here basically on faith, right? And though I'm not telling anybody to do that, that's what I did. Um, and it kind of worked out. When I'm listening to her book, it was called I think Pregnant by My Husband by My Mother's Boyfriend or something like that. Something a weird title, but it caught my attention. And I listened to that book, and there was a accepting submissions piece at the end. And what I had already written when I moved down here initially, I added more to it because I think I only had like 2 chapters because I didn't know that I was going to ever turn it into a book. I didn't know that I was going to be an author. I just wrote because I enjoyed writing.
Absolutely.
And I submitted that, and he emailed me back the next day, I believe. And he was saying he wanted to sign me. And because, of course, I didn't know anything, I'm thinking I'm the best thing to slice bread. I signed with them. But that was a hard, part of my life, my literary career. But I am so grateful for it because I learned so much um, in working for that publishing house. And now, it's brought me from what I learned from him and what I picked up along the way, I'm here.
Right. Right. And one thing I will say, I see you doing, you are ferocious with it. When it comes to networking, you are on top of it. I see you on TikTok. I see you on Facebook. I see you on Instagram. I see people posting your book here and you're on Book Talk.
Hmm.
What, like, how have you amassed? Just let me know your networking and marketing strategy. How
You
have you done
know,
this?
I am just being myself. As you can see, and I don't like mixing business and family, but sometimes it happens. As you can see, my mom. Like, a lot of us indie authors, we're in the corporate world still. We're parents. We have things going on. You have to find the time to do these things, right? And you know, when I'm getting on camera, I am simply just being myself, right? I'm just being myself on camera, right? And I'm aware, I have to be personable. I have to give people a little bit of my personal life to let them know, okay, yes, I'm a real person behind these books because my books can be a little, hard to read.
Yeah.
And but behind, the author facade, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am still a part of the corporate world, but I still have to find time um to bring my audience in and let them know that, hey, I'm just like you. I just write books,
Right.
right? And that's how, just being myself is how I've been able to, well, really, I'm just saying documenting, just being myself is how I've been able to, make my social media presence, so prevalent because, everything that I'm doing at home, I just turn my camera on when I do it. And that just makes it a whole lot easier. I don't look at it as, marketing and promoting. I'm just looking at it as, being me. And I'm telling you about the thing that I love, which are my books. And that makes it so much easier.
And I think that's what I find so dope about a lot of your posts I see on TikTok. Like it was a few weeks ago, you were making the kids ices. And it
Yeah,
just shows how relatable, like, listen, a lot of us are moms. A lot of us are doing little
right.
here and there. You're trying to find these little pockets of time of how can I make my
Hmm.
kid make this a memorable day for today? Like if it's ices,
Right.
if it's making random ice cream together, if it's sitting down and making a little teepee in the living room, I think it's so cool to be able to see behind the scenes, like what an author is doing. We're not just sitting there staring at books and I
Exactly.
wonder, but just being able to see someone juggle and wear so many different hats, that is something that has amazed me about you. And when I first saw your books, I was like, one day I wonder if she would be willing to do an interview with
Yes,
me.
of course. And I what I love most about my books is they are wild.
Yeah,
Um, and what I would say about me is, I have older brothers, right? So it took me a while to grow into my femininity and realize, okay, it's okay to still like, horror and thriller and suspense and then still just be a woman, right? And that's why I love writing thrillers. So I'm originally from South Carolina. So I grew up, following like the Gullah Geechee culture. So we talked about or we learned about, ghosts and spirits and things like that. So that's a real thing um
right.
for us, right? And I feel like, the horror life just kind of chose me because it's what I grew with. This is what I grew up around. What a lot of people think as, ghost stories were our reality, so this is why I like to say, what's normal. Everybody's normal is different. right?
Right.
So it's wild the things that I write, but it's relatable. Some of it is a bit extreme. I'm giving you that wow factor, but I prefer this genre because I want people to know, especially women. I want them to know that it's okay to like anything outside of what's considered the norm. And what I mean by the norm, it's like your romance or your rom coms or you know, um, your young adult. Like it's okay to like other things. And why I like to touch on that is because I'm in a lot of reading groups and I pay attention to everything because I feel like paying attention to your surrounding is how you can tell a great story. And in my book club that I'm a part of, I saw that there was a post and the person was asking for thriller or horror books, written by Black women. And so, I responded to that post and, I, recommended Kenya Mossam because she's an amazing horror writer. I recommended myself, Tanisha and Tony as thriller writers. And, I asked, why would you ask this question, horror or thriller by Black women, but you ask the question anonymously? Like you aren't, wanting to read a horror or a thriller book is not anything taboo, or it shouldn't be,
Right.
right? It's not anything to be ashamed of. It's a genre of book,
Mhm.
right? So, why would you ask, for a particular book by a particular set of women, but then you would ask it anonymously as if you're ashamed of it? So I want to, and that's another reason why I'm so vocal because I want people to know that it's okay to like anything that's not considered mainstream, right?
Mhm.
It's okay to like other things. Like you see, I'm a mom, right? In my everyday life, I'm not going around butchering people, right? I'm not stalking people. I picked my son up and he went to sleep,
Right.
right? So every day, I'm literally just a mother that picks up her pen when my kids go to sleep and write chaos, and that's it. But and I'm to me, I'm normal, right? So I want people to know that it's okay to like us. You don't have to ask about us privately because
Right.
we aren't doing anything wrong, in my
Right.
opinion.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really good takeaway. For whatever reason, I think it people do act a little surprised when it's a
Yeah.
woman writing a thriller or an unhinged book. You are the unhinged book queen at this point because your books just have a way of making you go through so many different emotions. I get
Hmm.
excited. I'm like, this is a good romance feel. Then my jaw is on the ground. Then I'm giggling and laughing. By the time I get done reading your books, it's hard to figure out. So, what do I read next? Because I'm trying to test out different authors and books, but your books are so hard to follow up. I'm like, maybe I just need to go edit a few videos.
I will always say try an indie author first because we are writing for passion,
Yeah.
right? We are not writing because we're contracted to do so. We're writing because we love the art of creative writing,
Mhm.
right? So, I've read some, of course, traditionally published authors, and I'm like,
How?
oh, that's what you gave us to read, right? And with us indie authors, we're giving you our blood, sweat, and tears. We're giving you our time. We're making time to write. I'm a mother of two toddlers, 2 and 3, right? But at the end of the day, I am so tired. I don't know how I'm still standing up. So normally when they're asleep, I'll catch me a few hours of sleep and then I'm up, but
Mhm.
normally by midnight, and I write from midnight to 5 a.m., right? Just to get them up for daycare at 7 and me to be in my corporate job at 8. I sacrifice a lot, right?
Right.
To write these tales because I enjoy doing it, not because I'm contracted to do it. So
Right.
if I'm um normally I'm a handwriter, which is what a lot of people know. I handwrite my books. If I don't have a notebook, I write on an envelope. I write on anything that I can find so that I don't lose my idea. If I'm driving, I will ask Siri to save a voice clip because
Mhm.
I don't want to lose what's in my head. I
Right.
never start a story from the beginning. I know that sounds weird, but normally my books start with a line that popped into my head while I was doing something random. Like let's just say folding the kids' socks. A random line will pop into my head and I'll turn that into a book.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I can't, I don't have the luxury of, not writing things down or saving things because this is my passion. Writing was my first love before I even became a mom. So I'm
Right.
always going to give it, my all, even if that means sacrificing sleep. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to give it my best because I want you all to have the best from me. And if I have to sacrifice a few hours of sleep, I don't mind doing that because I want you all to have that true unhinged book that I know that I'm capable of giving you all, that I want to give you all.
Absolutely. And I think it's shown. It comes across definitely in the work. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel like, oh, she was just trying to meet a word count. And that's one thing I
Mm-hmm.
have appreciated about your books too, is I see they vary in length. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's great because you will have people that they want to read books, but not everybody has the attention span to sit down and read those 300-page books. I want to be one of those people so bad, but when I see a book that's under 120 pages, it makes me rush and read it even faster. So I love that
Oh
you
my
have
goodness.
variations there.
Exactly. And that's one thing that I got from, my the publisher. His name was Shamik. And when I first signed with him, he said one thing you have to have as an author is thick skin.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was like, because you're gonna write things that you may love and other people may not. And I'm like, well, I want to write some short stories because, I want to have things out while I'm working on longer projects. And he was like, you can write short stories. They should be at minimum 40 pages, and
Right.
under 100. He said, but when you write a short story, you have to, come out the gate swinging. There is no slow burn. There is no build up. It's on page one. A woman walks in the grocery store and the man is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there is no time to catch to pause. There's no
Right.
time to think. You have to just get through it. And while you're getting through those 40 to 70 to 80 pages, you're like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because I credit him for that. Like he really instilled that in me. Um, you have to give it all gas, no breaks with short stories, and that's why I love writing them so much because I can just tell the story. I don't have to tell a side story or a backstory or go back into a sequence of things that happened 20 years ago. I can just tell you what's happening now, fast paced, um give you all that crazy that you can handle in a short amount of time, normally within an hour or 2 hours. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been working for me. And I love those. But then there are times when I still, give you longer books like my newest release, Highway 725, that was 130 pages. Um, when I normally just prefer short stories.
All right. Now, I know you are working with a lot of experience and you have a lot of information. Do you think in the future you would see yourself offering a service to mentor newer authors or writers or even starting your own publishing company?
I do not think that I would ever find anyone per se. But I would like to, mentor newer authors, and just having someone, a space for them to talk to, and not anything that I would even charge for. It's just because I would want to give them, the knowledge that I wish that someone gave me, and I'm still learning, right? Like, there's a lot to learn as an independent author. Like, it's not cut and dry. Um, there is so much to learn. I literally just had Dear Vicky put on audiobook. Before I had it on Audible, I had it on my personal website. And I knew nothing about book funnels. Author A. A. Lewis walked me through that process because she's the one who managed the audio project. And so I'm still learning things as I go, and I'm open to learning. So I don't want to look at myself as a dinosaur per se. That's a term that we use in banking. There are people that only know one way of doing things. They don't want to learn anything else.
Right.
And I love learning things because I know that I can give this knowledge to somebody else when they come in because there will be other authors
Mm,
behind me. Of that I am sure. So I want to learn as much as I can learn so that I can give it to someone when they've already exhausted all of their or what they think they've exhausted and they can come and get information from me because one thing I know that I am is approachable. My inboxes are always open. I may not get to the message like the same day, but when I will get to it and I will answer your question. Um, so what I do know, if you ask me a question about it, I'll give you that knowledge. Just because I don't want you to feel like when you're independent, you're solely alone because you're not. I'm independent, and I have a team of other indie authors behind me that I go to when I have questions because I do have them, and I'm
right.
not so proud that I'm afraid to ask. And I feel like that's how we kind of burn ourselves out when we think that we know everything and we aren't open to learning other things. So if you have questions, and even though I don't have an official mentoring, um, site or partnership or anything now, if you have any questions, I'm always open to answering if I have the answer. If I don't, I'll find the answer and then relay that answer back to you.
That's cool. And then next, I just need you to shout out your social media handle so we know where to find you and where we can find your books too.
Okay, so my paperback books can be bought on my website, and that's aogpresents.myshopify.com. However, that's not the only place you can get them from Amazon. Um, my social media is Facebook is Octavia Tanika Grant, which is my whole name. My author page is Octavia Grant Presents, I believe. That's also on Facebook, but they're linked. My business page and my personal page are linked to Facebook, so you just have to go to the bio to find both pages. Um, Instagram, you can find me at Octavia versus Otanika, and TikTok, I am at Otanika. I have a Twitter, but I don't know how to use Twitter, so I can never remember the handle to it.
I completely understand. I don't really get the Twitter hype either. I feel like they live in a whole different world. So I just
Hmm.
people on Twitter do their thing. Because I don't get it. And I'm not going to try to get it. I feel like Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok is enough.
Yes, it is.
That's the most I can juggle at this point. But I do want to thank you for coming on and taking the time to answer these questions so we can have a better understanding of you as the person, the author
Yes,
that encompasses the mom, the wife, all the hats that you wear.
yes, yes, yes. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I will be in touch with you soon, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye.